speaking to a gentleman named Tom. Hello, Tom.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Tom, you live here in Minnesota, but you mentioned years ago you had a sighting, a Bigfoot sighting out in Wisconsin, correct?
Yes.
Tell us that now. You said it was how long ago?
Around 20 years ago or so.
Okay.
Late 80s, early 90s.
And at the time you were how old?
I would have been right around late teens, early 20s.
Okay. So take us through it. What did you see?
Well, my friends would go up to the Lac du Flambeau, Minocqua area of Wisconsin every year and just have a big cabin party and things before we went back to college. So we'd gone up there this one year, and we went horseback riding, and the gal that was running the trail ride was really cool, so we thought, let's party with her because she seemed like a lot of fun. So one night we picked her up and brought her to the cabin, had a blast, and then it was, when that was over with, we needed to get her back to her place.
Mm-hmm.
So I was driving, and the car was kind of full, and it was kind of late at night, maybe midnight 1, 2-ish, I would guess, and it was raining pretty good, so I'm driving, trying to stay safe and whatnot, and we're going through the wood, because everything up there is wooded, so we're going through the woods, and just as I'm kind of coming up over the small hill, as I came to the rise of the hill and the car started to go back down on the other side, my headlights, of course, were on, and I saw off to the side of the road what I still have trouble describing exactly what it was, but it was very large. It was big, and from what I could tell, when my headlights hit it, I was catching it at a profile view. When my headlights hit it, it's like it looked up and moved directly into the woods. It did not look at me, but it looked into the woods and then moved into the woods.
Okay.
And I would say, because it was in the ditch, and I would say it was probably 5 or 6 feet above the height of the road, and the ditch probably goes down about 2 or 3 feet. So I'm thinking kind of like 8 or 9 feet tall, and what appeared to me was it was white, which I thought was really odd because I was familiar with the story of Bigfoot and that, and in my head, my thought was Bigfoots are black and brown and red, and that's the color they are. And I saw this big, huge white thing, so I thought, well, it can't be Bigfoot because Bigfoot aren't white. So it kind of freaked me out, but everybody else was having a good time in the car. So
when you say it was white, was it which part of it was white?
Just the its entirety. Which also led me to believe, am I seeing my headlights reflecting off something that's wet? Yeah. Is why I kind of questioned that, because it appeared white to me.
There have been some documentation, photos of what might be an albino Bigfoot, or sometimes I've seen ones where they're more gray or kind of a whitish around the face. But you're saying it was white all over, or? Yeah, and that's the thing too. I've now in the past few years I've heard that too, and now I can't dismiss it like I was able to dismiss it before, because now I'm hearing that there are also red and blonde and definitely reds, browns, and we've heard of white ones too. So this was summer, correct? Late summer probably. So before college, like July, August, in there somewhere. So you saw it. It ducked into the woods, and what was the reaction from the people in the car, or was there? They totally didn't even notice. They were totally, involved in their own activities. So. And you didn't mention it, huh? You went by so quickly. You just thought, I didn't see what I saw, and I'm not going to say anything, or? Well, I just did. I saw it, and it happened pretty fast, and I just didn't know what to think of it. And my thought was, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Is that what I think it is? And and we drove right by, relatively quickly. I mean, when I came over the top of the hill, it wasn't that far away. Yeah. So a quick sighting, you drive by, and then what happens? The next day you go out looking for it again, or where does the story take place from there? Yeah, well, the next morning I get up, and I wasn't going to look for it per se, but I wanted to talk to somebody about what I thought I'd saw. So I went into the town where the Native Americans have their town or whatever, and was just driving around, and I didn't know exactly who or what I was looking for, but I felt like I wanted to find an elder or a shaman or a medicine man to talk to and ask about what I had seen. And I pulled into a souvenir shop, and there's a customer in there and an employee, and I didn't really want to say anything around the customer, so I waited till the customer left.
And then I approached the employee and kind of started asking him bits and pieces about the history in the area and the land. And I finally asked if there was someone I could talk to, like an elder or a shaman or whatnot. And I kind of hinted at what I was curious about. And he seemed to know exactly who I should talk to, so he got on the phone and called this gentleman and verified that he was home and he was okay talking with me. So he told me how to get to his house, so I drove there and found his house and knocked on the door and went inside and kind of told him the story that I've told you. And he said, oh, well, I know exactly what that is. He said, you've seen the Great White Spirit.
Mm.
And I was kind of surprised to hear that he knew exactly what I saw. And so I tried to kind of rationalize it and justify it and said, well, no, it may have been my headlights reflecting off the trees and whatnot. Yeah. He said, no, you saw the Great Spirit. And he said it was, he actually said it was very important. There was a couple things that were very important about it. He said, since I do have some Native American blood in me, I was supposed to see it and no one else was supposed to. Mm-hmm. He said it was really important, too, that it looked up and walked into the woods, but it did not look at me. If it had looked at me, that would have been potentially bad luck. So he said it was important that it just looked up and walked in. I'm not sure why. And I was still very skeptical until the point where, he finally said, well, how many times have you been driving at night in the rain and your headlights have reflected off the puddles and the trees, and then the next day you've gone and sought out a Native American shaman to explain to you what you saw? And I said,
not very often.
Well, I never have. He goes, well, of course you never have because you've never seen the Great White Spirit before. And then he was like, well, so when exactly did this happen? And this was the next morning, so I'm like saying, 6 hours ago, 8 hours ago? And he said, oh, so the sun hasn't set since you saw it. I said, no, the sun was down, and it's only come up. He goes, oh, that's important, too. He said, because since the sun hasn't set, there's something you need to go do. I was like, okay, what is that? He goes, you need to go back to the exact same spot where you saw it, and you need to make an offering to the Great Spirit, and for peace and for, whatever. And he said, you need to bring this tobacco and offer this tobacco to it. And I said, well, it was late at night, it was dark, I know the road, but I can't say for certain the exact spot. And he said, well, you'll know the spot when you get there. I said, well, but I'm not really sure. Well, he said, well, trust me, you'll know it when you get there. And I still, the skepticism, I'm going, yeah, I know the road, but it was a long road, and it was late, and it was dark. He goes, you're going to know the spot.
This is like a whole vision quest kind of thing. You're on your quest.
Yeah, it was really, that's why, I've never reported it. It was just so weird. And that's why I still have trouble, saying, did I actually see? I'm a believer, so I'd love to say, I saw one, I know I saw one, if it was like daylight and clear and but it was none of that. So
did you find the spot?
Well, yeah, because we actually stayed together for a couple hours, and we prayed, and we talked about our religions and our faith, and he gave me the tobacco. And so I went down the road because, I had until sunset to make this happen. So I was driving down the road kind of going, I don't know where it was, I don't know where it was. Mm-hmm. And I got to this one point in the road, and something in me said, this is where it was. And I don't know why I felt that, but I felt like this is where it was. So I got out and kind of walked around a bit, just kind of checking out the spot, and something inside me kept saying this is where it was, but my skepticism wouldn't leave me alone. So I marked the spot where I was, and I said, I'm going to drive down further because I know it was before this intersection, and just see if I find it before the next spot. So I went driving down, and all the rest of the way down to the next intersection, I never had that feeling. It never felt like this was the spot. And I knew it was before this certain point where the road teed. So then I went back to the spot where I felt like this was the spot, and got out the tobacco. And I don't remember if he gave me any other specific instructions about what to ask for or what to offer. But then I did leave the tobacco in the road in the spot where I saw it. And for some reason, I think I left half of the tobacco and kept the other half because it seemed like I had it in my car for a while. But I left the tobacco and made my offering and went back to the cabin. And that night, of course, we're partying again.
Now, did your friends know you were off on this journey trying to figure this out, or did you keep that quiet?
They got up while I was gone. They thought I went back to find the girl I dropped off.
Okay.
They thought I went to visit her, which was not what I did, But then when I came back, they all gave me a hard time for going back to see her. And I didn't. And that night we were partying again, and me and one of the guys ended up going off down the road. And I did share with one of the guys that night where I'd actually been that morning and what I saw. And I don't remember why I shared it with him and nobody else, but a year later we were up at the cabin again, and at that point, you know, the guy I shared it with, he was like, "Oh, you want to tell us what about last year?" And then, of course, they all remembered, you know, me getting up in the morning and quote-unquote going to find the girl again. So I told them the real story, and they really freaked out. I mean, they were freaking out pretty good when I told them the story. So
when you think back on the event, does it make you want to go in the woods, or have you been searching since, or has this satisfied your need to see a Bigfoot?
I've never gone searching. I'd be open to, because I'm a member of the local MUFON chapter, and there are some guys at the chapter who do go on Bigfoot searches and Bigfoot hunts.
But nothing, after that event, you didn't feel any more need to do it, but yet you had this wonderfully rare experience, especially to see a white one, my goodness.
And see, at that point, I still was convinced there was no such thing as a white one. So I was still in my head kind of going, I didn't see what I thought I saw, despite the fact the Native American elder was so sure. He was, you know, he was hands down. There was no doubt in his mind. There was lots of doubt in my mind.
Did you mention when you saw it to the elder that it was white, or did he instantly assume it was white?
I believe I told him it was white.
Okay, so then he knew right away that was what it was, and that's why he.
Yeah, and it was just, you know, it was like, you know,
white spirit.
It was like if you were to go tell someone you were driving down the road and you saw a stop sign, they'd go, "Oh, well, of course you saw a stop sign. We see them all the time."
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. It was kind of like, "Oh, well, I know exactly what that was."
But it's interesting that you intentionally sought out a Native American because your assumption was that they would have known about Bigfoot, or had you heard that before?
Well, I think, you know, because I have been interested in the topic for since I was a kid, so it's not a new topic for me. And I just felt like, you know, we're in the woods. I think they're more in tune with nature. I think they're more in tune with what happens in the woods. I think where they've been here in the woods for hundreds of years, and we've only been here for a couple hundred years, and they're actually in the woods. And I think they're just, nature is so much more a part of their history and their culture and their heritage, and I think they're much more open to it than Europeans are.
Yeah.
I felt like someone from there in that area would know more about what I saw than what anybody else could tell me.
Well, good. You're obviously on the right trail, because you didn't get pushed back. You didn't say you were crazy. So.
No, he didn't know. It was weird how I found myself trying to talk him out of it.
Yeah, he had to convince you of what you saw, and you were actually there.
Yeah. It was really it was the opposite of, you know, what you'd expect. So.
People come forward and they've kept quiet. You were quiet in your car. You didn't want to tell your friends, and many people have that same experience where they just don't feel comfortable because it's a risk. It sounds crazy, and there's many more people. So by you retelling the event, it makes it easier for others to say, "Yeah, I had the same thing. I didn't tell very many people, but." We at the page here feel like the more we share even these stories, which are anecdotal, there's no photo to look at, but or video, but they're every bit as real, and makes it easier for others to share things they've come across. So, well, great. Well, Tom, I appreciate the conversation, the call, and you just hang on for a second here. I'm just going to sign off on the Bigfoot page, but again, thank you so much.